Hello there ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul TX141 Walsh, welcoming you to an all-new replay for the realistic air battles of War Thunder. In today's episode we'll be featuring a replay using the P-51D-30 Mustang, a fighter aircraft in the North American tech tree as designed by North American Aviation. One that we recently reviewed in Arcade Air Battles, review available using the link in the top right corner of your screen as displayed now. The reason I've picked this replay above all others is taken from patch 1.61 and will be our final replay or gameplay from that patch. Well, actually there's two reasons why I've picked this one. Firstly, this is my first ever flyout in this aircraft in realistic air battles, and it's a rather successful one, albeit with some rather contentious points in the latter half, as the first half of this game doesn't really go anywhere, and again, that's primarily my fault. And secondly, because this gameplay is symbolic of the YouTube channel, i.e. our channel, which we've come to love, nurture and grow over the last 3 years of activity. And that's important because this video today, or at least the first half, is going to focus on providing you all with a channel update for October 2016. I've had a lot of questions come in and I thought it's about time I answered them. Now all these questions really came under 3 main questions, so I'm going to answer each one in turn, and hopefully the answers will be sufficient. If not, feel free to let me know and I'll try and enlighten you a little bit further. Otherwise, I'm sorry, you'll just have to be dissatisfied with my answer. The first question was, what happened to the live streams? So for those who are not aware, back in February 2016, I started live streaming on twitch.tv, under the same username, TX141 that is. At first it was just going to be a fortnightly live stream, War Thunder and a little bit of World of Warships every so often. But due to popular demand and growth in popularity, and overall enjoyment, the live stream started focusing around War Thunder and in the end became a weekly War Thunder live stream for Arcade Air Battles. Now at first this was fun and I really enjoyed it, it brought something new to the channel. But over time, especially in the last 2 months, I stopped enjoying it and I really got fed up of doing the live stream. Not of War Thunder, let me point that out, I still enjoy this game very much, but fed up of having to sit down for 2 to 2.5 hours every Friday and doing a live stream. And I say having to sit down rather than choosing to sit down because it actually ended up feeling as though it was a second job on a Friday rather than something I could enjoy as a hobby. And that really pushed me away. And the last live stream in particular, which I haven't shared on this channel because to be honest I don't see it as having any value, really was a negative one, both from my perspective and that of you, the audience, from what I gather. Had a number of technical difficulties as well and I just decided to scrap it. With regards to the live streams, at first they would bring something new to the channel, but over time, because it became the same thing and I didn't have enough time to focus on doing something different within the live streams, because I didn't have enough time in the end to be able to upgrade planes for review or unlock planes for review and at the same time run a completely independent live stream. I had to use the live stream to upgrade aircraft in the end, and a lot of you were really not happy with that, saying, well, it's just the same plane being flown over and over again in every match, where's the variety, man, come on. And in response I had to say, well, I need to get this upgraded, otherwise I can't provide a review. Well, it wasn't going to work out. So after the last live stream I decided to sit down and ask myself, right, there's 2 ways we can go. Quantity versus quality. But if you go down the quantity route, the quality of the reviews you put together and indeed the overall videos you're going to put out is going to drop. And I wanted to make this channel, when I started being active on it, as one about quality, not quantity. So I've decided not to rule out live streaming altogether, but for the foreseeable future, live streams are not going to be a thing here. And when they do happen, they're not going to be of War Thunder's Arcade Air Battles. They may every so often be War Thunder, i.e. some realistic, or occasionally some ground forces, but the live streams will be different games, apart from War Thunder, so World of Warships, Elite Dangerous when I get around to playing it, Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, etc, etc. I hope you get the picture, because that way the live streams will bring something new to the channel, not just the same old. The second question, which a lot of you have asked in different guises, how's your personal life going? What are you up to these days? How are you doing? Well, things are going really well, folks. Some of you may be aware that about a month and a half ago I got promoted at work. I work for an IT company and I work in the role of a business analyst. I have for the last 2 and a bit years. A business analyst, for those of you who are not aware of what the role requires, is essentially an individual who is attached to a project whereby they support the project team in identifying what the project needs to deliver. The role of a business analyst is important because if the direction of what needs to be delivered is not identified, then the IT system, or indeed anything that is delivered, can be a waste of money to those who wanted it to be delivered, and it can lead to an entire company ending up in the bin, and it's happened a number of times over the last couple of decades, where business analysts didn't do their job correctly, and as a result, the directionality of a company failed completely versus the competition in the market. But all business talk aside, I'm loving my promoted role. It's a more senior role. It's still a standard 9 to 5 office hours job, like Monday to Friday, but I find it's a lot more demanding in the enjoyment I get out of it as well. So as a result, this means that when I come home from work every day, I actually feel a little bit more exhausted, and in some cases I just don't feel as though I've got the energy anymore to take care of my hobby, which is the YouTube channel. I decide, right, well, I'm only going to do half of that video today and do the other half tomorrow. I'll do the history of the review today and actually talk about the gameplay tomorrow, because I just don't feel as though I've got the energy to do both parts. I think you can understand where I'm coming from at that point. And therefore I'm trying to create that nice work-life hobby balance at the moment, and I think it's there now. Took a couple of weeks, but it is definitely there. So on top of that, what about outside of working outside the YouTube channel? Well, me as an individual, for those who aren't aware, I'm 23.5 years old, very happy with my life at the moment. As you've all seen me on the channel updates, and indeed in the TX Talks videos, and in some of those videos where I've gone to conventions, I'm a happy, healthy individual, or at least I feel that way. Life's treating me well, so I treat it just as well back, or hopefully I intend to do so, and I do so. And on top of that, so have you been asking me, am I single, do I have a girlfriend, etc.? I'm single, folks. Love will find me when I find it. There's no rush, there's plenty of fish in the sea, yada yada yada, you've heard every phrase in the book. Hopefully start dating one day, but it happens when it happens. I'm just happy to enjoy my independent life for the time being. I've got my friends and my family around me, I've got a good bunch of friends behind me. That's what matters. Having that balance in your life, and I'm right there on that balance for the now. So the third question, and this is one of the ones that was very important, especially in light of a number of YouTube channels just stopping altogether and not providing the reason as to why, or a number of YouTube channels changing the directionality of their content for War Thunder and indeed the wider games they play. What's the future of this channel going to look like? Well, let's talk about where we are today. And for here, I'm going to actually change the we and are to I and me, because this channel is my baby. A number of you have always said to me, why do you say we and are? Because this is your channel, and as a result, you should take pride in this channel, and for once, I'm definitely going to do so. When I started this channel for a number of reasons, the primary one being because a number of YouTubers decided to say that arcade air battles was a no-skill based zone in War Thunder, whereby all the planes handled the same and everyone's a nasty individual, nobody can have fun, and there's very little capability in this game mode compared to realistic and all the other game modes. All that negativity around arcade, or you could say elitism, from your perspective, not mine. I decided to create this channel against that, and indeed a number of other reasons, and also I take a lot of interest in the aircraft that I fly and indeed the tanks I drive, so it all worked together well. I set myself targets when I started this channel. I said to myself, right, if I'm going to commit to this one video a week, I want to, in the space of 10 years, go from 0 subscribers to 10,000. Now, we're in our third year at the moment and we're already above 3,000, so we're well on target to do that. My other secretive objective, which I've never announced on this channel, is that I'd like to be featured on a channel that's recognised, I should say, by the communities or indeed the developers of a particular game. So for example, if I use the Mighty Jingles as an example, he's recognised by Wargaming.net for his contributions to World of Tanks, World of Warships. Fly Daily, for example, is recognised for his contributions to War Thunder. Well, we achieved that a couple of months back when we got featured on the Mighty Jingles' channel, whereby we took part in his 500,000 subscriber milestone contest in the World of Warships branch, and we came in second place. Now when that was announced, or at least when I got told that I'd won something, before I got home from work that day, I checked through the YouTube comments section at work, I just couldn't believe it. And if anything, it made me very proud of all the work I've put into this channel. All the time, all the effort, and when I got home and I watched the Mighty Jingles' video where he said, and here's TX141TX with his replay about the Atlanta where he's paving the way, or something to that effect, I almost broke down in tears. Mum and Dad were there, I showed my friends, and some of them, when I first said to them, I'm committing to a YouTube channel, I'm doing this, they were sort of, that's a waste of your time. But I broke down. I practically did. Because this channel has become a part of me. It's not taken over my life, but it's become a part of who I am today. If it weren't for this channel, I would never have got my job. because this channel taught me how to have self-confidence, how to be confident in improvising what you say in an interview. Now, many of you will be aware of this, but for those who aren't, what I'm doing right now as I'm talking to you, I don't have a script in front of me. I literally have a piece of paper with the 3 questions that I've been able to summarise out all the questions I've been asked. I have no script. I do this all from memory. The reviews I do, the only notes I have are those I use for the history part. All the notes concerning how the plane flies, that all comes from my mind. That's all from recalling experience. And I've taken that into my place of work, whereby I can go into meetings and I don't have to make as many notes because I've got the ability to store information and think on the spot. That spontaneous thinking, to get things right without having to make a second reference when I'm confident enough to do so. And that's what this channel means to me. It's that. It's not only that though, it's also the contribution I've made, whereby I've had people leave comments to me saying I enjoy War Thunder's arcade mode more now because of your reviews. I've learned how to fly a specific plane because of your reviews. Or the people who've come and told me, you know, in history class today we had to write an essay about the P-51 Mustang or whatever it is, and because of your reviews I was able to do that assignment really well because I learned something from your videos. I was able to go away and apply it. Alternatively, just go away and think to myself, you know what, that's interesting, I'll go and read a bit more about it. That was one of my goals of this channel, as well as getting to that 10,000 subscriber milestone after 10 years. That I'd be able to teach people and make things more interesting for people, whether it be in the game or indeed being able to just pick up a history book. And I'm proud of that. I really am. To me, that's a sign of success. And now, with all this success and whatnot, the future of this channel is to the point whereby, as many of you may be aware, or at least as far as I'm aware, I'm the only major YouTube channel now for War Thunder that deals only with arcade air battles. And when I say major, a channel that's recognised as a content partner for War Thunder, because I am now a content partner. Again, something which happened recently and I'm very proud of. And I got recognised for it, I didn't ask to be made one. But in short, as we miss that P-51D Thunderbolt, the future of this channel is such that I want to put together by the end of the 10 years, or as best as I can, I may not be able to finish it all, but I'm aiming to put together a review for every prop-based fighter aircraft in War Thunder's arcade mode that's available before I leave the game. And if there's the time available, I'll extend this to jet fighter aircraft, and if there's even more time available, I'll extend this to all the attackers and planes which shouldn't normally be used as fighters, but can be used as a fighter. And that means that one day when I walk away, if this game is still going at that point, and I'm confident it will, it's a very good game at its heart. Even though I don't always agree with all the core mechanics, much like everyone else, we all have our own disagreements about the directionality of this game at some point or the other. I hope to walk away from this game with a full index of reviews, for that way anyone who's new or old to the game interested in a particular aircraft can look at the video, understand the history behind the plane, and understand how it flies in arcade air battles, or at least for a given patch how it flew. And on top of that, I want to start doing the same for World of Warships, in particular for destroyers, although that's a secondary objective and that's not the focus here. I want to be the first channel that pretty much does all these reviews for arcade air battles up to roughly 75%, because I know I'm not even 25% of the way there so far, even though we've done just over 100 reviews. It's a long task, folks, but with your support, with your enjoyment of this channel, indeed all the comments you write, whether positive or negative, I appreciate every one of them. With your support when I'm flying, when you leave me the little comments, when I'm sitting in the menu waiting for a game or looking at the upgrades, for the donations some of you have given me via my Patreon, for the support you give me on Twitter, etc, etc, for those of you who I have met in person at air shows and whatnot, which has been an absolutely fantastic experience, and in the new year, hopefully with more air shows coming in 2017, and indeed Tank Fest, Gaming Convention, etc, I'll meet more of you in person and get to meet the wonderful people who support this channel. We're going to do this together. I'll lead the way, folks, but it's your support. As we take down this Focke-Wulf 190 A8 for our first of 3 kills in this match, and the game's about to liven up, I like to compare this channel in a way to an astrophysics principle that I learnt long ago, which is the smallest stars burn for the longest, they shine for the longest. The larger, brighter stars die quickly. But our little star, in the case of this channel, as I've titled this video, will burn bright, and she'll burn for a very long time. And whilst I have a lot of fuel behind me to make sure this channel continues going, I want you all right there with me. For those of you who are interested in seeing realistic air battles and don't care about arcade air battles, go somewhere else, or just wait until those videos come. They'll be infrequent, but please, this is my channel, I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to take this channel forward with those of you who are willing to come alongside with me. And with the channel update section of this video concluded, let's focus on the gameplay. So what's happened so far as I take out a couple of ground targets here? Well, essentially it's been a case it's America and Britain on the map Sicily versus Germany. I believe this is quite a high battle rating match, around 5.0, seeing as we had Griffin Spitfires, but don't quote me on that, I can't remember the battle ratings of planes in Realistic at the moment. But things haven't worked out for our team. I was flying alongside two colleagues, Xeno Predator and Blaster 112. Blaster picked up 3 kills in his Griffin Spitfire, and I'm not sure what happened to Xeno Predator in all honesty, haven't really been focusing. But the problem is I spent a lot of time up at higher altitude trying to get used to the handling characteristics of the P-51D-30 and trying to bounce enemy players up at altitude, but I was just too high and too far away from the fights. So now it's become a case, I think there's 5 enemy aircraft left alive, and we've had 3 of them pursue us out after we dived down that Fokker 490AA, which we took out. 2 of them have broken off as we get closer and closer to friendly territory, i.e. in terms of our airfield. Because one of the key mechanics at the moment I find a lot of players exploit is the fact that the anti-aircraft batteries around an airfield are absolutely savage and will rip you to pieces. Now the thing is, I decide at this point that whilst I have gone back towards the airfield to try and scare off my opponents using the anti-aircraft batteries, I don't intend just to camp on the airfield for the entirety of the game in order to use that as my crutch for winning. I hate to bring this back. I will turn and face that Messerschmitt 109. I'm just building a little bit of altitude, and very shortly I'm going to turn to face him a 1 versus 1. Because I'm happy to fight to the death in a 1 versus 1, but a 3 versus 1, as we saw previously with that Messerschmitt 109, the Fokker 490 and the ME410, well that's just grim. And I'll be turning any second now, roughly about 7 kilometres away from the airfield, so the anti-aircraft batteries are not going to interfere with this engagement, or at least for the majority of it. Now the Messerschmitt 109 we're facing here as we come down from below, and we're essentially going to try and force them onto an equal energy footing by turning their altitude advantage into something that will force them to overshoot, and then using a set of scissors to combat them. This Messerschmitt 109 we're engaging is a G-type. It's a G6, so not the most manoeuvrable one, in fact the least manoeuvrable of the G variant, so I remember correctly. But here they come along with a lot of energy, and we cut very close for our first pass, the G6 just missing with their 30mm cannon. And I'm trying to force a set of scissors that are gradually climbing as well, and the G6 has already overshot in the second pass. Now we're rolling out here underneath them, as I say, this is not just a set of horizontal scissors, this is a diagonal one if anything. We've lost sight of the G6 at this point, although they're over the top, and what they've done essentially is they've cut the scissors off and used their rudder to try and come down on top of us, but with so much energy behind them, then they're in front of us again, so they haven't been able to cut off their overshoot. And now we're following up into a loop, but they're cutting their energy once more. We're just breaking out to the side here in preparation for that, before coming around once again. And the G6 pilot, to their credit, is managing their engine as best they can, and we're doing the exact same to try and make sure that we overshoot versus the G6, but we don't want that to happen. And at this point they begin to stall out. We can see the trails coming from their wings. The flak is starting to open up because the scissors are essentially headed towards the airfield, but the flak has not interfered in this engagement in any way as we start to come around. The G6 has now run out of the vast majority of their energy as we also pick up the Avenger order. They're staying alive. And as we now snap around, we're on their 6 as they go back up into another loop, and we're going to cut them off at the tip of their loop for our second kill in the match. It was a brilliant dogfight, and one that I thought I'd showcase simply because it goes to show that the P-51D-30 is quite a flexible aircraft, and how you can turn a situation where your opponent does have the energy advantage. The G6 did because they came from a higher position of altitude. You can turn your position of lower energy compared to your opponent to something into your advantage, whereby we forced the overshoot and then we never let up in making sure the G6 was always in front of us. And in the end they tried to keep the fight in the vertical where possible to stall us out, but with our engine power in the D30 Mustang versus the D5 for comparison, which is a bit weaker, and our overall throttle control, we're never going to overshoot and we never stalled out behind them. So at this point, what's exactly happening? Well, I decide here to go back to the airfield and rearm, because I've fired off a lot of 50 caliber ammunition, and I'm not entirely sure what belts I'm using. I may be using the tracers on the Omnipurpose. We've seen tracers, so we know we're not using the stealth belts. I think I may have gone for the Omnipurpose belts, just to provide that overall damage output, because my accuracy in realistic air battles without a lead indicator is nowhere near as good as my accuracy with a lead indicator in arcade. And as we cut the engine here, we take a very long approach to make sure we come down nice and gently on the airfield. So we want to treat this plane with respect because it is our first fly out with her. We've flown the D5 a number of times, but subvariants can have their own unique handling characteristics. We found that out from time to time. we're just going to gradually come down. And with regards to the enemy team is ground pounding right now, if I remember correctly, and what was an advantage of 5 planes to our 1 has gradually descended into a case of there's only, I think, 1 enemy aircraft left standing now, and it's the P-51D Thunderbolt, the premium German one, because the rest of our opponents who are flying about in the sky have crashed into the ground targets. We come down a bit short of the airfield here, and I make a mistake in coming down too short, so I've had to go over a small bump and crash down the landing gear. But the landing gear's held up quite nicely. She's a strong bird with regards to our undercarriage. And we gradually park her up on the airfield for a rearm and refit. Our intention is to finish off the P-47 Thunderbolt. We're not going to try and take out the ground targets, because as you can see, the enemy team's got the advantage in tickets. The only way we're going to win is by bringing everyone down. A blind hunter was just being activated by the enemy team, so they know where we are, they know we're on the airfield, but nobody wants to come near the airfield because of the anti-aircraft battery, so this works to our advantage. And that is the contention point of this replay, if you will, how we've used the airfield to scare away a 3 versus 1 scenario and turn this into a set of 1 versus 1s, well, 2 of them, the second one coming up in the near future. And when people ask me about my thoughts on War Thunder, and in a way I want to clarify this, the reason I don't normally provide my thoughts in this game is because, let's go back to one of the reasons why I started off this channel. I said there were a number of YouTubers who thought that arcade wasn't worth its weight in salt, or its mass in salt I should really say, the physicist in me complaining already. I can understand that everybody's got their own opinion, yes, and you can voice it a little bit. I think you can voice it through forums, you can voice it through those channels, but hearing it time and time again and hearing it repeated on YouTube channels and whatnot, I think that as a content partner for the game, as a contributor, that can have a very bad precedent for the opinion of individuals new to the game and even old to the game. I could very easily, when I do a review of an arcade aircraft, I could very easily tell you all it's garbage, and I bet a number of you would believe me. And I think that I should always be 100% transparent when I do my reviews. I tell you my opinion, and you respect the fact that it's my opinion, it's not the truth. Some of it may be truthful, but it's not 100% true, because some of it's always subjective, and as a result you should form your own opinions. And that's why I don't talk about game mechanics, I don't talk about the state of War Thunder, or the state of video games in general too much, because I feel that even if I mention the slightest thing, it can have repercussions for certain individuals who may be encouraged to no longer play arcade air battles because the bomber spam, which I don't like, is too much, and as a result they shift over to realistic, they can't enjoy realistic, so they quit War Thunder, and that's one player gone. Now imagine out of my 3,000 subscriber base, that happens to 100 people. That's 100 players gone from War Thunder. I don't want that to happen, because I think that's wrong, and that's me, if anything, abusing my position. Instead, I'm just going to go ahead and enjoy the game. We can see here that a number of ground targets have spawned in, and our final foe is the P-47D Thunderbolt we referenced from earlier, the one who was up at incredibly high altitude at the start of the game. And this second 1 versus 1 is going to be a bit tougher. This P-47 pilot clearly knows their aircraft. They spent a lot of time in it. They know where we are because of the blind hunt, so they've always got the initiative on this one. Coming from a higher position as well in the sky, i.e. a greater energy position. Now, we're not going to be able to dive away from the P-47 because it is a very fast plane in a dive. We're going to have to try and force a similar engagement to the Messerschmitt 109 G6. But the problem here is, because of the way this is set up, unlike the G6, the P-47 pilot only needs to stay above us. They're not following us in the way that the G6 did. When the G6 followed us, we had roughly the same amount of kinetic energy, i.e. speed, and we both tried to gain a little bit of altitude, and then we turned and caused the dogfight. The P-47 pilot has got a significant positional advantage on us, and all they need to do is make us bleed out our energy and keep above us. Because the P-47 is not as manoeuvrable technically as the Mustang. It doesn't have as good acceleration, its dive speed is better, and it's a much more durable aircraft and a much more powerful one in terms of its armament, 2 more 50 caliber machine guns. And we can see here the P-47 pilot is coming directly down on top of us, and we're trying to turn underneath them and cause a spiral. But in the first pass, the P-47 does hit our right hand wing, and this really compromises our controllability. Now I'm finding it rather difficult to roll this plane, simply because the right hand wing really is becoming heavy, and we take a couple more hits to the central fuselage, only grazing ones, and we can see here how the P-47 pilot, having made 2 passes and gone back up each time, but they're running out of energy already, because they're swinging about after every engagement, coming back down for another pass. We take another set of light hits to our left hand wing, and we actually take some to our right hand wing towards the centre. But going for a set of vertical scissors at this point, we're starting to gain the advantage, whereby the P-47 had it from earlier, simply because they haven't broken out of the engagement to reset themselves, or just taken their time to go for the next engagement. We take a couple more scratching shots to our tail section, but now as we cut our throttle, we come down on the P-47 pilot as we make our fourth cut, and fairly well, sir. Our third and final kill after 2 1 versus 1 engagements, and we can see there how we won that. We had a lot of fortune in terms of our plane holding up from the fire that came in. On top of that, we won that because the P-47 pilot continued to re-engage us too quickly. If they'd essentially held their position above us, built up a little bit more speed before coming back down, and rinsed and repeated that, they could have had a better chance of bringing us down. But instead, the dogfight was quick, it was tight, and with the greater overall engine power and flexibility offered in the P-51, we stayed alive. And with that, let's take a look at some post-game stats. A difficult, but nonetheless successful match. Our 3 aircraft destroyed and single ground unit eliminated allowed us to accrete 82,869 silver lions and 3,834 research points. I must admit, for my first flyout on the P-51D-30, I was rather impressed by its overall handling in realistic air battles, especially with regards to its balanced nature, whereby the plane is not the most manoeuvrable, but its control surfaces respond well to input. She's a fast plane and she can pick up quite a bit of energy once she gets going, meaning that she's able to take on a number of scenarios which we saw, such as our boom and zoom past loops on our opponents, and towards the end the 2 1 versus 1 dogfights. I'll definitely be flying her again in the near future. As for why this replay symbolises the channel so much in my opinion, whilst it may not be obvious, I was flying as part of a 3-man squad in this match. I chose, however, to fly independently throughout the match, get used to the Mustang's handling characteristics, and then try to contribute to the team effort at the halfway stage. But at that point, my teammates and squad mates had been eliminated, and the lopsided nature, either one versus many, was heavily my fault because I wasn't part of the team effort. I chose not to be. But with a little bit of daring, fortune, and bravery, we managed to bring things back for our team and secure the victory. The reason why I think this symbolises the channel so much is because I took a step into the unknown when I decided to start this channel. But on top of that, I've done this channel all by myself so far. I intend to do so in the future as well, where it be a case of getting the gameplay, recording the history, on top of that, putting together the videos and then publishing them. Although I have obviously had your contributions in terms of replays you would like me to feature, but then again, you've provided that to me. I haven't asked for it per se. This has all come from myself. And where you guys come in as the supporters, the viewers of this channel, is the fact that you've gradually shared this channel over time through the media outlets I advertise it on. And through that, your support is extended in a number of different ways, whether it be just the basic comments, likes or dislikes. I appreciate all feedback of all different types and forms. Alternatively, the cases whereby you guys have asked me whether I can fly alongside you just in casual gameplay, alternatively for me to teach you a number of different things that you've seen in my videos. Or on top of that, even asking me to join your clan, which I've had a number of invites and I'm too happy to stay with Dead Man's Hand to accept any others, but I'm always happy to fly alongside another clan from time to time as well. Or taking part in collaboration videos. I've done a number now and I hope to do some more in the future. Or at the very high end, people asking if there's a page whereby they can donate to the channel on a monthly or on a singular basis, and I do have a Patreon page set up just for that. I never asked for any of this to happen, folks. It's all been spontaneous. You've all come together and gradually made it happen, and I've just been there to make the videos and keep this channel going. But you also keep this channel going, and in terms of things where I've had people contribute, I just want to say thank you to 2 people. Firstly, a very important one is to my father, whereby in times of dire need for historical information and ammunition on certain aircraft, he's been there for me to dig up the information, as well as provide general support as well. I really love you for it, Dad, and I really appreciate it, and even my father watches my videos now and learns new things, new manoeuvres. Sorry, my voice is going already. And I just love it, the fact that I've got my family as well as my friends, as well as you guys all supporting me. And the other thing, a very quick one, I'd like to say a thank you to Pro100s and Aon for putting together my new channel banner, which I've unveiled as of this video. I really like it, and hopefully you guys do as well. And as one final image really for us to part this video, I know I've gone on a bit, but just think of the P-51D-30 in the thumbnail of this video, or the one that we flew today. I'm at the controls of the aircraft, much like I am with the channel. But you guys, the supporters and viewers of this channel, make up the plane's fuselage. You're there as part of the journey with me. I steer us in our direction, and you're all coming along for the ride. And together, we'll always be successful. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, be sure to leave a like, comment or subscribe for future War Thunder videos on my channel. But until next time, take care, and good luck in the skies.